Well, a tragic shooting yesterday leaves the community in shock. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Valone. We'll have that story a little later in the newscast. But first, last night, President Barack Obama delivered his first State of the Union speech of his second term. Addressing members of Congress and the nation, the president was firm and impassioned in his delivery, focusing predominantly on domestic issues. Calling on Congress to end the brinkmanship, Obama urged members to send him legislation to reform the immigration system, combat climate change, increase minimum wage, and reduce gun violence.
Overwhelming majorities of Americans who believe in the Second Amendment, have come together around common sense reform, like background checks that will make it harder for criminals to get their hands on a gun. Senators of both parties are working together on tough new laws to prevent anyone from buying guns for resale to criminals. Police chiefs are asking our help to get weapons of war and massive ammunition magazines off our streets because these police chiefs, they're tired of seeing their guys and gals being outgunned. Each of these proposals deserves a vote in Congress.
Senator Marco Rubio delivered the Republican response advocating small government and a free enterprise economy as paths to prosperity. Rubio also blamed reckless government policies for creating the housing crisis. Maryland Democrat John Sarbanes disagreed with that. Meantime, President Obama also issued a new challenge last night, similar to the federal Race to the Top program. He says the goal is to redesign the nation's high schools to better equip graduates for the demands of a high-tech economy by rewarding schools that form partnerships with colleges and employers. Well, tomorrow, Maryland lawmakers will be considering the repeal of the death penalty. And with us right now is Mikea Bartholomew. She has a very personal case with someone who's involved in this system.
Yes, Patty. As many of us know, the death penalty is a very sensitive issue, and we hear a lot from lawmakers, but it's rare that we get a chance to hear from someone who's been on both sides of the death penalty. He was born on a Louisiana plantation and joined a gang as a teenager. Around the same time, Suja Graham was found guilty in the death of a white prison guard, which led to a death row sentence. Today, there is only one way Graham says he now fits into society. Here's his story.
Good. She's been blessed to have someone in her life like me.
61-year-old Suja Graham takes every moment with his wife and children seriously.
I look for a good moment every day of my life that I get up. I don't load my lies up until I be ready to face that day.
His trouble with being content is the result of a nightmare Graham still sees outside of prison.
I said to myself after 11 long years, my greatest nightmare has finally come to an end. I've been out over 25 years, each and every day. It hasn't come to an end.
In 1973, while serving a 3-year sentence for a robbery in California's notorious San Quentin prison, a guard was killed. Suja and another inmate, Eugene Allen, were charged, tried, and a jury found them both guilty.
Think about someone and say you're not fit to live. On a particular day, we're gonna kill you. It was hard.
And 4 more trials before another jury found Graham and Allen innocent.
Being a black man born in America and being accused of killing a white prison guard, I never thought that I would actually be able to walk out like that. I thought eventually I would get off of death row, but I never thought I'd be able to walk out there.
Tomorrow, Graham is taking his story to Annapolis to testify before lawmakers as they consider repealing Maryland's death penalty.
And even in my good times, I was having a good time, a good moment. And I sit there and I go back to death row. I said, what is California? Would they had their way?
And that, says Graham, is all he says everyone deserves, a chance.
Eugene Allen, the co-defendant who was found innocent in connection with the guard's death, remains in prison because of charges unrelated to the officer's death. Suja Graham is a member of Witness to Innocence, a national nonprofit support group for inmates who have been exonerated.
How many people are actually on death row at this point?
Right now there are 5 in Maryland, and tomorrow we expect Suja Graham is going to testify, and there's also another man who's coming down from Philadelphia. He was exonerated in Maryland on charges of a rape of a child, and DNA helped him get exonerated, but with Suja it came down to testimony and evidence.
All right, it should be a very hot-button controversial issue
I'm
tomorrow.
sure it's going to be heated.
All right, thank you. Well, yesterday, students at the University of Maryland learned that a peer killed himself after wounding a roommate and fatally shooting the other. CTV's Mikea Turner has reaction from the campus.
It's a really somber mood.
For some students at the University of Maryland, today just did not feel the same.
It's really sad to see that something like that is happening on campus.
It shakes the students up. It's a sad day when our fellow student is, involved in a situation like that.
Yesterday, students across campus woke up to an email alert about a peer who shot one of his roommates, injured the other, and then turned the gun on himself.
It's just shocking to me.
Police identified that man as 23-year-old Davon Green.
He was a cool dude. I mean, he didn't really show any signs of mental illness.
Alex FLETCHER is a senior in his last semester. He works at the university's gymnasium where he says he saw Green all the time.
When he was in the gym, he got along with everyone. He kind of stayed to himself. He didn't really come in with anybody else, but he was kind of to himself, I would say.
According to Green's family, the engineering graduate battled a mental illness for at least a year.
I was shocked when I heard the news, but to find out that the person actually had a mental illness, no, I wasn't shocked. Only because of the fact that for somebody to go out and do something of that nature, you got to think of the fact that something has to be going on in their head. A
9mm handgun was found next to Green's body, and state police say he purchased that weapon legally.
It's scary. It's definitely scary. We have a serious problem in, the United States with gun control. It's our right to have guns, but at the same time, we need to have a more strict way of purchasing them. We need to have mental health checks. We need to have background checks.
Meanwhile, the university's president reminds students who are struggling with a mental illness that they can get the help they need on campus.
We have significantly increased the number of psychologists and other mental health professionals to advise and counsel our students.
In College Park, I'm Mikea Turner, CTV News.
And the deceased victim was Stephen Rain of Silver Spring. He was an honor student in his last semester. Well, a Forestville man shoots an acquaintance and then drops him off at a fire station. Police say Capitol Heights resident Charles Thompson died hours after being left critically injured at this firehouse last Friday morning. According to authorities, the shooting took place in Forestville near the home of Sean Hallowell. Hallowell is now in custody, charged with first-degree murder. He was arrested in Palmer Park yesterday. He is being held at the County Detention Center under a no-bond status. Maryland's prison agency reports an uptick in inmate-on-inmate homicides. According to the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, there were 7 deaths in 2012. That number compares to an average of 4 per year since 2001. Despite the increase in homicides, the department says it has cut the number of serious assaults by inmates on both staff members and other prisoners. The number of inmate deaths, including suicides, is also down.